Oklahoma muzzleloader. It varies a little bit year to year, but usually it's right on the front end of the rut starting, which is a great time to hunt. That's him right there. He's coming right to us.
McWhorter Custom Rifles presents
This week, folks, we're in Oklahoma, and if you've watched the show in the past, you know Oklahoma's been very good to us. It's one of our favorite big buck states. We're hunting with good friend Dane Drake, Legends of the Cimarron Outfitters. It's late October, the rut's just getting started. Dane's found some big ones, 45 XML. Add all those together, we got a formula for success. You don't want to miss this.
Precision Hunting TV is brought to you by McWhorter Custom Rifles, Macmillan Fiberglass Stocks, Swarovski Optique, and Extreme Wildlife Adventures.
All right, well, it's towards the end of October, and that means Oklahoma muzzleloader season. We're gonna make sure our 45 XML is dead on. I've already loaded it. And we got our Swarovski on here, board in action, Brooks barrel, Macmillan. This is our pinnacle stock. We got a Trigger Tech trigger set about 1.5 pounds, and we're ready to go. So we're gonna start off at 300 yards here, and I'm gonna send one down, then we're gonna shoot out to 500 or 600, I think. Perfect, right in the heart. All right, so we had a heart shot at 300. We don't anticipate 600, but we're gonna give her a go here. Dead. Baddest muzzleloaders on the planet, and I can't wait to sick them on a big Oklahoma whitetail. Oklahoma muzzleloader. It varies a little bit year to year, but usually it's right on the front end of the rut starting, which is a great time to hunt because you usually have bucks pattern pretty much, and they're gonna tend to try to search the area that they're in before they start expanding their territory. And if you got one pattern pretty good and he's already in a place that's got a lot of doe groups, then that's usually a formula for success during the earlier muzzleloader season, which is the end of October. So several years ago, Larry introduced me to Dane Drake, and they do a lot of hunts together, and Dane's got a whole lot of territory up in northwest Oklahoma. Wide open land to the untrained eye. It doesn't look like a whole lot of whitetails would be there, but between the draws and the creek bottoms, it's an absolute whitetail mecca. Dane does his homework. He's a full-time cattle farmer and dabbles in quite a few other things as well. He's a jack of all trades, but he is a whitetail fanatic. He concentrates all year long on finding whitetails. And pretty much by the time you get there, he's got 3 or 4 really whoppers that you're gonna be able to get after. Opening day, Oklahoma muzzleloader out here with Dane Drake and Legends of the Cimarron Outfitters. He's got a good one spotted for us this morning, and everything couldn't be better. I mean, it's about 7 or 8 days before the full moon. a big cold front. I mean, 2 days ago it was 90 degrees out here. Now it's 27 this morning. So. Dane has got a really big 5x5 with some stickers that we think will go 180 inch on camera. And that's the buck we're gonna start out hunting. So first morning, we're in our blind. Morning ends up being a pretty slow movement morning. Dane tells us that 45 minutes before daylight, our buck was at the bait site. So we're ecstatic. We're thinking, you know, this afternoon's gonna be perfect, moon's gonna be straight overhead, an hour before dark, that we're gonna kill this buck. He was just there this morning after all. That afternoon we go in there and this front's just starting to move in, pretty bad weather. We don't see the buck. Unfortunately, 2 hours after we get back, after dinner, Dane gets one of his cell cameras, gets a picture from the bait area where we had just hunted, and the buck's there. But the buck has broken off one whole side of his rack. And I'm sitting here thinking, you gotta be kidding me. We get in here and on the first day, our target buck, probably 180 inch buck, has gotten in a fight and broken off his whole rack. How unlucky could that be?
This segment of Precision Hunting TV is brought to you by Borden Accuracy, makers of the most accurate custom hunting actions on the market. Manufactured in the USA to true bench rest tolerances. Borden Accuracy equals success.
Dane puts us in this stand, another stand the next morning where he had seen some other shooters. And as per usual with Dane, he's hitting the road, trying to scout as many places in his vehicle as he can. And that very morning while we're sitting in the new blind, Dane encountered another target buck that he had named Bill Clinton. And Bill Clinton was a buck that was 5 years old. He was a big mainframe 5x5. He had a couple stickers. And Dane thought, as well as I did after seeing the pictures, that this buck would be over 170 inch deer. And he was mature, and when he got back to camp that morning, he was all smiles, and we made a plan to go after Bill Clinton. All right, so Dane comes back and picks us up after the morning hunt. He tells us all about this encounter, and we make a plan. He's got some portable blinds that they're on old wagons, so they can be pulled down these dirt roads. They look just like regular farming equipment, so we get those in position. Bill Clinton had gone over into this drain, and that's where Dane had last seen him. Felt for sure he was gonna come back the same way that afternoon to get to these cut soybean fields. And so we pulled that grain wagon in there, got it in place. We know when he comes over the hill, he's just gonna think it's a piece of farm equipment. So we planning on getting in there first thing that afternoon. It's a little after 3 o'clock on day 3 here in Oklahoma, and we got a north wind blowing right out of that canyon up to this partially cut milo field, but there's some really big strips left in it. We got a feed station up here, so I think we're in good shape. Got this afternoon 2 more days, try to get it done. Weather's 22 degrees and the wind's blowing 15 to 20 miles an hour. It's relentless, it's been blowing all day, so it'd be nice to get a shot right out in front of us so we ain't got to figure the wind, but if he gets on either side of us, we're going to be shooting with about a 15, 20 mile an hour full value crosswind, which ain't a whole lot of fun, even with a rifle and we got a muzzleloader. So here we go. Got a couple of hours, hope he shows up. That's him right there. All right, he's gonna get in that drain, get set up. He's gonna come down this drain right here. Tell me when you got him, Russell. Hurry, tell me when you got him.
Precision Hunting TV is also brought to you by Puff Power Auto and Outdoor Stores, Borden Accuracy, Ultimate Antler Deer Feed, Mesquite Creek Taxidermy, and Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue.
Welcome back, folks. Today we're going to continue our discussion on our favorite cartridges. And we're going to start down here at the bottom with the 6.5. You know, the whitetail, the ideal cartridges for like whitetail size game, but capable for bigger.
Absolutely, and the 6.5 Creedmoor is pretty much right now the king as far as what everybody goes to for whitetail.
Widely popular.
Widely popular. And one of the things that makes it so popular is just because you're able to get that velocity and get that downrange retained velocity in order to drop your game. Right. So we've also introduced the 6.5 PRC, into our gamut that we
Creedmoor on steroids.
Creedmoor on steroids. You're pushing out further now than what you can do. So therefore, it is just really a efficient cartridge. And whenever you sit there and think about it, it is pushing, at 3,200 feet per second, that 140 watt, the 6.5 Creedmoor, it's taking
2850.
So the Creedmoor is pushing it at 2850, so it is really, really efficient for the size cartridge and everything that it is. And a lot of guys look for it because it's readily available.
Right, but contrasting that to one of our tried and true cases, this is our 6.5 Weatherby. Super accurate, 3,250 feet a second with a 140 grain bullet, but it takes 10 more grains of powder to get there. So the barrel life, it's gonna have a little more recoil. The barrel life's not gonna be quite as good. That's still one of our favorites. But today, I'm going with a 6.5 PRC.
Well, 6.5 PRC, if I'm going to sit there and choose between all the 6.5s that are out there right now, I'm going to choose a 6.5 PRC just because it is a more efficient burning cartridge. And it's also a very inherently accurate cartridge.
But all those, although they're ideal for deer-sized game, then they are capable of taking elk at medium to extended ranges as well.
Absolutely, and like the Creedmoor, let's not just forget about its merits. It is a slower cartridge, but it is still capable of those larger game. Like I brought down that Aoudad at 938 with it. It is very capable, but you have to stay within those limitations. Now, as we transition and go from the 6.5s to the 7s, now we're increasing that. We're going to a higher BC, higher weight, so therefore we're pushing that distance out there, a lot further.
That's exactly right.
And keep in mind, if it performs at distance, it only gets better as it comes back. Okay. So and you're doing those shot placements and everything, you're going to get more bang flops, everything with it as the closer you come back.
Great.
Yes, they are.
So let's start off with something that we came out with this year. This is the 6.5 PRC necked up to 7mm. Anytime you neck something up, it becomes more efficient. This is a 7 SPRC. The merits of this is basically it'll shoot a 180 grain bullet over 3,000 feet a second. It'll do it with about 59 grains of powder, which makes it very efficient. Compared to a 7 rim mag, one of our other all-time favorites, it does it with about 8 or 10 grains less powder. So your throat's gonna last longer, your barrel's gonna last longer, you're gonna have less recoil, and it's in a true short action, so your overall weapon length is gonna be an inch shorter too. So that's what I used this past season. It did great for me.
And it's gonna perform very well even up into your brown bear. You could use it for up to brown bear. Black bear for sure, it is going to perform and drop down a lot bigger game. I have, had people that I know brought down moose with the 7s and everything, and you can definitely do that.
Transitioning on into the 7 STW, this is not what you would call a very efficient case, but it's very inherently accurate. And when you go to a bullet like the 195 Elite, it's got the horsepower behind it, and those have been shooting little bug holes for us for many, many, many years.
Absolutely. Fantastic performers all the way around.
So we've gone through the 6.5s and the 7s. Next week we're going to get into the bigger boys. How big a boy are you? 30 cal, 338. Thank you for joining us. That's our downrange segment brought to you by McWhorter Custom Rifles.
Precision Hunting TV is also brought to you by Tacticam, Sig Sauer, Trigger Tech, Brooks Barrels, Capstone Precision Group, and Hawkins Precision. This segment of Precision Hunting TV is brought to you by Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, real Texas barbecue.
That's him right there. All right, he's gonna get in that drain, get set up. He's gonna come down this drain right here. Tell me when you got him, Russell. Hurry, tell me when you got him. I don't see him right now. That's him, he stopped right there. Dane saw this deer this morning, went over in that canyon. We pulled this blind in here, got set up on the edge of this milo because this is where we know he's coming because there was a couple strips left up here. It's windy as all get out. He was nervous, ran over the hill. Anything could have happened. So we took that that .42 shot, almost full frontal shot, and 45 XML just ate his lunch. Dang, I love me some Oklahoma. Oh, man, what a buck. Look at this big bruiser. Golly. Oh. Woo. Look at that massive rack. Well, this is the end of our hunt here. The culmination of a great hunt out here in Oklahoma with Legends of the Cimarron Outfitter. Dane Drake, we've hunted out here with him several years. And we had some bad luck to start off with. Our target buck, he broke a beam off from the morning we got here till that evening. So we started hunting a couple other places. Dane was checking cameras and cards, and actually saw this buck this morning, and he went over in this canyon. So we dragged our blind in here and got set up on the edge of the milo field because we knew that's where he was going, and saw several muleys, several other deer, and as soon as he came over the hill, we knew it was him. And when he stopped at 245 yards, fixing to go down in this ravine, we decided to take the shot, and he was almost frontal, just .42 slightly. The bullet dropped him in his tracks, and we got a heck of an Oklahoma buck on the ground. So my Oklahoma muzzleloader season was over. Ended with a great trophy. I got another good friend in Oklahoma that's a good friend of mine and Larry's, and we call him Little Dave. Little Dave's got a 45 XML, and Little Dave had found the deer of a lifetime out in Oklahoma. And we'd been keeping in touch with each other back and forth throughout the whole season, and he felt like several times he was closing the distance on him, but he just couldn't get him to make an appearance in the daylight. So didn't hear from him for several days, and the very last day of the season, I get a text from Little Dave saying, got him.
We're here in Oklahoma. The last day of the muzzleloader season, Dave was lucky enough to catch up to this old buck, and I was lucky enough to be sitting in the blind with him. We were trying to get it on film, but it didn't work out. It got a little too low camera light, so we wasn't gonna not shoot him though. Dave made a good shot with the McWhorter 45 XML, 175 yards, and we got a giant.
An absolute pig.
This old buck, he's 6.5. Got a little bit of history with him for the last couple of years, and he's a roamer. Whenever the rut kicks in, he takes off, and he goes a lot of miles. So we knew we needed to kill him before he really took off. And November 1st, the last day of the muzzleloader season, he messed up and stepped out a little too early, and Dave whacked him. But just what an awesome buck. This deer is gonna gross 210 and 2/8. Just a spectacular deer. He's got 13 and 2/8 inch brows, G2 that's almost 16, 15 and 5/8. Main beams are over 27, almost 28 inches, and just an absolute giant. I mean, I don't even have the words hardly. We found him last night and just sat there and looked at him for over an hour, just taking it in. But it's just a awesome time. Thank Allan for letting Dave borrow his personal muzzleloader.
Personal, yeah. Brought it to me the day before season and said, "Go kill him." And
so awesome deal, man. This is just a great buck. We're gonna go get him skinned out and took care of. Just soak it in.
when they say buck of a lifetime, they're not kidding, are they?
Yeah, that's him.
Congratulations to our friend Little Dave Phillips for the pending Oklahoma State muzzleloader record buck, killed with a 45 XML. Good going.